This is how the horses finished in Spain. It was an 11-point margin in the end for Barcelona. Look how far off the pace, though, Real Madrid, though. They finished 21 points behind Barcelona and 8 behind Atletico Madrid. Gab, of course, the big talking point. We saw the pictures, Gareth Bale heading off down the tunnel as an unused substitute again. Zinedine Zidane asked a pointed question by one of the reporters after the game. Why didn't you give him a chance to play and perhaps say goodbye? And he kind of dodged all the issues. He did sort of indicate that he isn't too happy with some of the day-to-day issues with Bale. Is that right?
Well, it's pretty evident from the fact that he was an unused sub today, and in the previous 2 games, he wasn't even called up to the matchday squad because obviously he's fit. Zidane, the line from Real Madrid is that he's preparing for next season. That's why he started with Brahim Diaz, who of course is 19 years old, and Vinicius, who's 18 on the wings. I don't think it's a mystery that if they could move Bale on, then they obviously would. Equally, Gareth Bale makes about 17.5 million euros net, which, to translate it into Anglo terms that most of us are familiar with, is right around £600,000 a week. He's one of the top 5 paid players in the world. And of course, that makes him very, very difficult to shift because he has another 3 years left on his contract and he turns 30 in mid-July. So put all these things together and, Gareth Bale can say, yeah, but when I've played, I've been statistically about as productive as in previous years. But the problem is he doesn't fit into the club's hands or into the club's plans, rather. And I think we could be heading for real tete-a-tete this summer.
What's your reporter's hunch, Gab, looking at this from afar? How does this resolve itself? Zinedine Zidane clearly wants to put Gareth Bale in his place.
So, look, there's a very obvious point to make here, right? Gareth Bale, evidently he feels mistreated. I don't believe, not many people are close to him, but I don't believe this line that he's fallen out of love of football. He doesn't care anymore. He just wants to play golf in the golf course that supposedly he has in his back garden. I think it's an issue of pride. And I think it's in Bale's interest to move. It's in Real Madrid's interest to move him. It's in his agent's interest to move him. The way possibly you can fix this is you say, look, Gareth, you've got 3 years left. You're set to earn 90 million pounds over those 3 years, give or take, gross. Take a 5-year deal somewhere. Get somebody to commit to you. You will have to take a pay cut, but you will make that money over 5 years. And maybe you can resurrect your career. And I would show him Arjen Robben, another winger, another guy who was pretty much forced out at Real Madrid way back in 2009, the summer they bought Kaká and Ronaldo. And what did he do? He went on to Bayern. He won loads of league titles. He won the Champions League. To me, that is the way you appeal to Gareth Bale. If in the end he doesn't care at all and he's so bitter and that he wants to sit for 3 years, then there's not much anybody can do. But I really don't think that that's the case.
As former professional players, is it conceivable to you, to your mindset, that you could sit there on a 3-year contract, a very juicy 3-year contract, but a 3-year contract nonetheless, and potentially not play and be happy?
The reason, and I'm going to speak for Xhaka here, the reason we play the game is because we love being out on the field. We love the competition aspect of it, the idea of sharing a locker room with guys that come together for a singular cause, and that is to win on the weekend. That's why you do preparation. That's why you do preseason. That's why you do everything, because you love that feeling of stepping out on the field. In fact, the one thing that I miss from not playing is that feeling right before you jump out on the field. When you know everything is out there and now you can display all your skill and all your abilities. To then just sit there just because you're going to take the money, it would speak very poorly of Gareth Bale. It would. And it would be very difficult to understand from a player's perspective that he wouldn't just say, okay, maybe we restructure the deal. Maybe we get the same amount of money somewhere else if we're able to restructure the deal in the basis that Gab just talked about and the example that he just gave. And, oh, by the way, didn't Arjen Robben just step away from Bayern Munich?
Yep.
And didn't Frank Ribéry just step away from Bayern Munich? Maybe that could be an ideal landing spot for Gareth Bale.
It's been done before, Shaka, but never by a player with such a high profile, I think, as Gareth Bale.
I mean, there's two sides to this answer to your previous question, Ali. As a player, no, I couldn't perceive just sitting there for 3 years, just waiting for the clock to run down. All that being said, I was earning nowhere near £600,000 a week.
That's a big
At £600,000 a week, I was sitting in a small, dark room for 3 years.
There's an offer coming your way.
Yeah, but if the opportunity presents itself for Gareth Bale to move, and I think Gab paints a very realistic picture in terms of what may be on offer. If somebody can match that figure over 5 years, if he does get a little bit of a golden handshake to leave the Bernabeu, I think that's in everybody's best interest. And yes, there are clubs that will be willing to take Gareth Bale at the right price, despite his recent injury history. I think there can be a deal that can be done.
We don't know what Gareth Bale is thinking.
Nope.
Right? He clearly is a guy that hasn't given much away in terms of what his thought process is. But what I can tell you for certain is that Zinedine Zidane has no care whatsoever for Gareth Bale as a player for Real Madrid. And if that's the case, then what are we talking about? It becomes a situation that is untenable.
Yeah. If you went to sit in a dark room, Shaki, you wouldn't have the chance to answer the questions on Extra Time, which would be a real shame, because we have some good ones every day. You can see Extra Time. Yes.
All right. Maybe even more now.
They are all available on our YouTube channel. So Vincent Kampany has announced he is going to be no longer a Manchester City player. He is off. There he is holding the FA Cup they won over the weekend against Watford. Of course, Lee's having just won a treble, guys. He's been there since 2008. He's off to become player manager of Anderlecht. That's a term we haven't heard much in recent years. Is it the right time for him to go, age 33? Should City have done more to keep him?
I think without question, Vincent Kompany could have continued in Manchester City. And I think you saw that over the last couple of months where, in my opinion, they're right to give him the opportunity to pursue this dream.
Given this resume, Ali, and it's quite some resume over 11 years, will they miss him next year?
They will miss him, but I think more than a reflection on Vincent Kompany, I think it's also a referendum on John Stones. Because ideally, it feels like Pep Guardiola would have been playing John Stones if he trusted him as a player. And it seems that that's not the case. And so, therefore, Vincent Kompany got the opportunities he got at the end of the season, and he took full advantage of those opportunities, as you expect from a guy like Vincent Kompany. As for what he does in the future, let me tell you, he's got a challenge ahead of him. Because player manager, that's a whole different story and a whole set of different circumstances, but he's the man to do it.
Indeed.